What's up, doll collectors, hobbyists, fabs, and besties? I'm Toya, an adult doll collector. Welcome to my miniverse. After hanging out with the clueless dolls, I think I can use more plaid in my life. But after dropping $120 on the dolls, the doll budget is running a little thin. So let's make doll clothes using stuff we already have, like human clothes. This is an old shirt I had lying around. I don't remember cutting it, but here it is. I also have a white t-shirt and a red one. So let's head over to the craft table and get crafty, which is actually right here. We will also be using thread, Velcro, or snaps. I like using sleek and thin Velcro, and I have tulle on standby if we need it. Let's use patterns that are already on our blog, MyFroggyStuff.blogspot.com. We can touch on the tab at the top that says printables, then scroll down to all of the albums, find the one that says patterns and stuff, then we can scroll through until we find the ones that we want. Some patterns are better than others. I'm starting out with something simple like a skirt from our DIY doll spring fashion pattern. Measure a ruler right next to the 1-inch mark to make sure it printed correctly. Cut out the pattern. This pattern has a lot of different options. All we have to do is fold on the line to get the one we want. I want to make the fitted skirt, and I want it to be short. So here's my pattern. I place it onto the shirt, cut it out, giving us a 3 by 6¼ inch rectangle. I gave it a quick iron, place tulle on top, use pins to hold it in place, sew around the edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving an opening so it can be flipped inside out. But first, let's trim off the excess, cut the corners, carefully flip it inside out, tuck in the raw edges, iron it flat on the cotton side, cut Velcro. I'm gonna cut this piece in half. I sew the fuzzy side onto the side with the tulle, using a straight stitch and closing the opening. I sew the other side of the Velcro on the front of the fabric so they overlap and close. Place it on a doll to make sure it can fit. Place it on a doll inside out. Pinch the sides. Secure it with a pin. Use a needle and thread to make the adjustments. Once both sides have been done, remove it from the doll and flip it the other way around to get a mini skirt. This is a super fast project and a great way to warm up. We can modify the pattern. I'm going with the fitted skirt length. Let's unfold the bottom and add about 3/4 inch to the top. I cut a long strip, then let's fold over the edges, then fold it in half. Sew a line going down it. I cut it into 2 pieces that are about 2½ inches. We can take our piece of fabric and fold it in half. Pin the straps on a 1/2 inch from the fold with the long side going onto the fabric. Place tulle on top, sew around the edges just like before, leaving an opening so we can flip it inside out and we can see the straps. Add Velcro, place it on a doll inside out, pin and sew the straps in the back. Then pinch the sides, sew down the sides to make a dress. Let's see if we can use our doll shirt pattern to make a long sleeve t-shirt. This pattern comes with short sleeves, but I think we can just make them longer. I cut on the dotted line, I traced the sleeve on the corner of the paper, and then just made it a little longer. Here are my 2 pieces. To make this shirt, I was going to use the t-shirt material. However, this pattern was originally made for cotton fabric, so I found a small scrap of white fabric that looks just large enough for this project. So let's cut it out. I cut 2 more rectangles the same length as the bottom of the sleeves. I fold them in half, line up the raw edges, and sew them together using a straight stitch. I go over the edges with a zigzag stitch to keep them neat. Now we can just flip this over and we have a nice little edge. Repeat for the other sleeve. Let's take the body of the shirt and fold it in half. I sew a line right next to the fold, so when we open it up, there's a seam going down the center. I cut another rectangle of fabric and fold it in half. Sew along 3 of the sides, trim it, making sure to cut those corners. I left the bottom edge open so we can turn it inside out. Iron it flat, sew a straight line near the edge to keep it flat. I cut it in half. I take one of the sides with the finished edge, and we have the raw edge right here. I'm going to place it right at the center, then match up the neckline and sew them together. You can use a machine. I hand stitched it because I feel like I just have a little more control. Then we can just fold it over and we have a collar. Repeat for the other side and iron it flat. Now let's attach the sleeves. I place them with the good side facing up, then flip it over. So we have two curved sides. Try to find the middle, sew them together, bending the curves to match. Then flip it over and we should have a nice seam. This pattern is not perfect, but I'm hoping it'll get the job done. I've sewed on both sleeves. Let's fold it in half with the good side on the inside. I make sure the shoulders are correct first, then line the rest up the best I can. One sleeve is looking a little better than the other. Let's sew from the end of the sleeve to the bottom of the shirt. I am using my sewing machine for this. Trim the excess, make a small cut under the arm, and zigzag stitch the edges. Flip over the bottom edge and hem it. I place it on a doll and decide where I want to put the Velcro. Sew it on to make a collared shirt. I do think the neck is a little wide and I probably went a little too far over on the arms. Let's take a plastic lid and cut small circles. I use a push pin to make holes to make little buttons that we can sew on to make a shirt to go with our skirt. We can also wear the shirt under the dress. Let's take the body of the shirt pattern, trace it on a red t-shirt, cut it out. I'm folding over and hemming the sides. Using a straight stitch, I hem the neckline as well, then fold it over, and we're going to match up the sides, sew them together. I place it on a doll and mark where I want to trim it, then trim it off. I cut another strip of the t-shirt, fold it in half, line it up with the bottom of the shirt. I sew them together, lightly pulling the strip, flip it over, add Velcro on the ends, so we can close it in the back to make a little red top that we can layer over the shirt. We can also take the pattern from our spring fashion video. I don't think this is completely symmetrical, so I'm just gonna fold it in half and trim the top a little. And let's take off the very top at a 1/2 inch to just flatten it out around the neck. Trace around it on the fabric. The trace line is going to be our sew line. Let's make more straps, add them to the front, place the tool on top, sew on the line drawn, making sure not to sew the bottom of the straps and leaving one side open. Flip it inside out, add Velcro, sew on the straps to the back to give us another option for layering and allow us to expand our doll wardrobe. I love little separates that we can mix and match. And by using stuff I already had, this project cost pretty much nothing. We were able to use our current patterns and just switch them up a little to create different looks. I love the idea of making miniature buttons out of recycled plastic. I tried to use my current hole punch, but it couldn't push through, so I'm gonna be on the lookout for another one so we can make our buttons a little more uniform. But I think these looks are totally getting us ready for fall. They have a little school vibe and could be used for a little clueless inspiration. Thank you for joining us while we made doll clothes using some of our clothes. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at MyFroggyStuff and Bella of MyFroggyStuff on Instagram. And on the YouTube channel, create something fabulous for college vlogs. And we will see you next time. Bye!